we have just learned that Donald Trump was the subject of an investigation from the Biden DOJ, like from the beginning. I mean, this is massive. So the judge just unsealed 400 pages, all related to that Mar-a-Lago raid. Remember that raid? Well, they were really after him for a while. Judge Aileen Cannon decided to release all this information. It had been previously redacted. And the intelligence agencies were like, no, you can't do that. They didn't want her to do that. In fact, I saw some commentators on MSNBC this morning saying, oh my gosh, why would she do that? Why would she allow this? You know, it's hopefully a good thing to have a few non-corrupt judges in there. And by the way, she hasn't totally voted in Trump's favor. There have been a few things along the way that he hasn't really appreciated. But a lot of people on the left are like, oh, well, Judge Cannon, she was a Trump appointee, and therefore she'll just do whatever he wants. Not the case. That hasn't happened before. And when you look at the latest now, you say, okay, well, she had good reason to bring this forward, because the Biden Justice Department, the DOJ, has told us over and over and over again, you know what, they had nothing to do with bringing the case forward on the Mar-a-Lago documents. And now we have learned that, in fact, they had everything to do with it. Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? They were working on this months before, absolute months before. Let's take a look at some of these documents. Can we do the before and after there? Drew, you know, look at this. Absolutely amazing to see. Okay, so first of all, here we go. On May 5th, 2021, less than 5 months after President Trump's term had ended, you had NARA General Counsel at work. Well, you can't read the rest, right? Can we go to the version that we can read? NARA was out there working away in tandem with the Biden DOJ, Justice Department, which would be the Biden White House, to try and bring a case on these classified documents. It's like they were just going after him, whatever they could get. I mean, you see now, you can see all of it, right? There's a big difference between what was originally being allowed for the public to see, which was like nothing, and now what you can see here. So there's a lot of information. If we go to some of the other pages, Drew, I think that the viewers can again see how significant this is, that we're finally getting this information. Look, it's a lot of it. It's 400 pages. Here's another page explaining how the Biden administration is really weaponizing their, if you would, NARA, and it's really not good. So it's I guess, I suspect what we all thought all along. So again, massive amounts of information coming our way, and I need to read through all of this, but I just want to bring you some of those headlines. You know, a great reporter, if you're not following her, is Julie Kelly. She's been all over a lot of this stuff, like J6, for example, and she tweeted out, for example, now we understand, right, why everybody was so upset with Aileen Cannon, because they feel like, oh gosh, was she going to expose some of this? Were we actually going to learn? Maybe we deserve to learn the truth. You're not supposed to do that, right? You know, it's just their version of things. So she's writing in this tweet, now you know why the insiders like Andrew Weissman and Barb McQuaid are desperate to get rid of Judge Cannon. Without her courage on this matter, incriminating evidence of Biden's White House and DOJ running the investigative show behind the scenes would be buried maybe forever. Now, you know, the whole Mar-a-Lago thing, I thought to myself at the time, you know, we didn't know a lot of information. He took these boxes of information. Apparently, you know, his justification is that he was president at the time, and therefore it was all declassified. And yet they made a huge stink about this anyway. Such a big deal. Let's be very frank here. Such a big deal that now you've got Jack Smith presiding over the whole thing, and it's kind of, you know, messed up because you got DC and Florida somehow involved in it all. And we're now looking at how many different ways they're going to go after him, right? You got to keep up with this. We got all these criminal suits now against the president, 91 indictments. It's really, I mean, they want him gone. They want him gone, and we're going to get to what's going on today in New York City and what David Pecker from the National Enquirer had to say. I actually, frankly, don't think any of it's illegal. I mean, maybe it's unseemly. Let's be honest. What do you think the other side was doing? Anytime they saw a competitor, you know, suddenly they became a Russian spy. Remember, Tulsi Gabbard was labeled a Russian spy, a woman who was a vet? I mean, come on. It's really, it is what it is, but it's not necessarily illegal. It's very unseemly that one would choose to use the New York Times or the National Enquirer to go after the competition, but it's not illegal to do that. So we're going to get into all of that. But again, still sticking with what Julie Kelly was saying. In other words, there's a lot of bias against that judge. Another point that we're seeing her make is one that I just did, which is that there was involvement there, it seems, from the Biden White House all along. So if you go back now and you listen to how, oh, no, this is totally separate. I don't think it was. And this would actually be right out of the Obama playbook. Or maybe it's just out of politics as usual. Maybe we just don't know so much about it. But maybe I think this is kind of how the Dems run their show. I remember talking to Donald Trump about this once, and it really struck me. I've told some of you this story before, but I said, why didn't you go after Hillary Clinton in a big, big way for getting rid of all those emails? Why didn't you do more? And he said, ultimately, I just decided it wasn't very American of me. We can't do that because, you just don't want to just put people behind bars. You've got to be sort of cautious about using that kind of power. So he was generous. He chose not to pursue that because he didn't feel like it was very American. It felt very Banana Republic. Let me tell you, the other side's not so generous. They're not generous at all, and they're going to use everything they can to go after him. And now they realize that it has been exposed. And so they're a little more, nervous about what might happen because next time, if he gets in, I have a feeling he's not going to be Mr. Nice Guy. I have a feeling he's actually going to use his power to try and dismantle some of this incestuous stuff that's going on within the so-called deep state, the swamp, whatever you want to call it. We've got to have a more fair system here. It can't be that just because you're the person they want to go after, they're going to use everything against you in a two-tiered system of justice. I mean, consider Letitia James, who, by the way, desperately tried to not even accept the bomb, the $175 million. And, she got shot down on that one. But the fact that she was willing to do that, what does that tell you? It tells you it's all politics. It's politics as usual. The idea that they're going to go after him and say that he is criminally liable because, he says that his property is worth one thing and she believes it's worth another. And by the way, how is she, Letitia James, qualified more than, say, Deutsche Bank would be to try and figure out the value of Mar-a-Lago? I mean, she still has it at 18 million. If it's 18 million or 17 million, I mean, I might just find a way to buy it, right? Because that would be a bargain. Letitia, trust me, it's worth a lot more. It's worth a whole lot more. So you got all of these things sort of unfolding, and I think the American public is waking up to this idea that they're going to just try and get him no matter what. They're trying to wear him down. They're trying to break him down. And now we've got 400 pages of classified intel documents that we can go through bit by bit by bit and try and piece together just exactly what went down. The other thing is that now the stakes have been raised. It's even higher, ladies and gentlemen, because if he gets in there, now the left realizes, we really will have a problem. He really will dismantle the so-called intel departments as they currently exist and try and figure out who was so sort of viciously and artificially and unfairly targeting him. I would say that it probably is led by Biden, right? Biden wanted to make sure, and the Democrats in general, the DNC, I mean, they wanted to make sure that he was not going to be electable again. And unfortunately for them, and perhaps unfortunately for him, I mean, who the heck wants to go through this? They're actually, able to bring forward all these cases and yet not get any of them thus far to the finish line. That ought to tell you a lot. I mean, think about the fact that we're looking at this 400-page document now, all about these Mar-a-Lago transcripts. When you read through this, what you actually find is that the FBI was conducting a, quote, loose surveillance of Donald Trump's private airplane to see if it contained missing classified documents. I mean, that's just one of the little gems here. So why were they going to go after his plane, the surveillance? They were going to spy on him. I wonder if, and I'm just throwing this out there, I wonder if this is actually about they just wanted to spy on him. Were they going to use the documents as one of the reasons to be able to get the warrant to spy on him? I mean, hey, we've seen this kind of stuff before.